Hello everyone. We are moving towards lecture number 3 in the governance. As you know that in the last lecture we discussed about some different models of the governance, but we didn't complete that roadmap which we discussed in the last lecture. So the pending topics will be completed in this lecture, and in the similar fashion I'll be giving you the new roadmap for the new lecture. So it may be a little bit long lecture, lengthy lecture, but we will try to fix it in a very short time. So let me start with the roadmap first. As you see, in the last lecture, I ended up the lecture with the different models of the governance, which was general model, critical model, advocacy model, and the integrated model. Okay. Now, in this lecture, we will be talking about different models of e-governance in India, including its positive and negative impact. One thing. Then the criteria of good governance, as we discussed about good governance, which is somewhere connected to e-governance or the smart governance. So with reference to the relevance, value, social equity, and the social change. So these are the criteria which are needed and which are required for the better governance, for the good governance. Okay. Then after we will be talking about smart governance in accordance to the World Bank. That means uh, in context of World Bank, how World Bank is defining the smart governance. What does it mean actually? So we'll be discussing about that. In the fourth point, there are different forms of government, including, you see, different forms of governance. You can say judicial governance is there, legislative governance is there. That means how judiciary is governing, how legislatives are governing, how executives are governing. That means we decided, we divided them to the judicial governance, legislative governance, and executive governance. Okay. See, I'm repeating myself. If you are pondering over कि यूपीएससी को आप फैक्चुअल डाटा पढ़ के क्लियर कर लेंगे, तो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि आप इफेक्टिवली उसमें जो अपना बेस्ट दे पाएंगे अगर आप फैक्चुअल डाटा पे जा रहे हैं. इसीलिए आपको विदाउट मगिंग अप द थिंग्स, आपको उनको समझना पड़ेगा. आपको एक कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी चाहिए कि कैसे हमारा सिस्टम काम करता है. ओके. एंड एवरी सब्जेक्ट इज वेरी डायनेमिक, वेरी डायनेमिक. ओके. नाउ सी different forms of government including judicial governance, legislative governance, executive governance, electoral governance, and the civil governance. How elections are being held, how elections are operated. So that is a kind of governance. Okay, so we discussed this roadmap. With now the last is judicial governance and the reforms. How judiciary is governing and what reforms are needed. What reforms are needed. So without wasting time, let me start with the lecture now. You see, here I have written, since 80, by connecting multi-purpose communication, India has started domestic fabrication of multi-purpose communication satellite, which led to the revolution in India. आप अगर इसको देखें, आप किसी भी डिपार्टमेंट को देखें, आज हर डिपार्टमेंट एक इंफॉर्मेशन चाहता है. आप एग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट लीजिए, आप कोई अर्बन डेवलपमेंट का कोई डिपार्टमेंट लीजिए, हर डिपार्टमेंट अपना काम करने के लिए सैटेलाइट का डाटा चाहता है. दैट मीन्स इंडिया ने जो सैटेलाइट एरिया है, जो स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी है, उसकी तरफ एक जो हमारी खुद की जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हमने जो शुरू की है, तो दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हाई? बिकॉज द सैटेलाइट डाटा इज governing so many departments. Now today, in accordance to economic survey, IT sector alone is generating 67% of total employment. You see, IT sector is giving you 67%. 100 में से 67 लोगों को employment IT sector देता है, taking burden of employment from the government. Now, accordingly, government has developed different models of e-governance. This is the very starting of the lecture. As soon as we will be moving forward, you will be having a keen interest in all these topics. Okay, so first understand what these models are, what is the difference between them, and which model is talking about what. Now see general model. General model is a static model projecting details of the ministry, secretariat, departments, directorates, officer concerned along with their mail ID and contact number. That means in this model लोगों के पास ये आंकड़ा होगा कि कौन ऑफिसर कहाँ बैठा है, उसकी मेल आईडी क्या है और कॉन्टेक्ट नंबर क्या है, ताकि वो अपनी समस्याओं का जो जो फिक्सेशन है वो कर सके. देन आफ्टर critical model is there, projects, plans and programs launched by the ministry. जो मिनिस्ट्री जिस तरीके के प्रोजेक्ट्स और प्रोग्राम्स को लॉन्च करेगी उनके बारे में कंप्लीट डिटेल होगी, यानी कि इस मॉडल के अंदर एक कॉमन आदमी के पास इन सभी चीजों की रीच होगी. एरिया ऑफ कवरेज, रेट ऑफ अचीवमेंट इंक्लूडिंग एरिया ऑफ द फेलियर. दैट मीन्स they will be accountable for the failures also, and they will be giving the allowance to the people that where the government is failing and what are the successive steps over there to fix that, और हमारी सक्सेस किस किस एरिया में आई है. कहने का मतलब क्या है कि आप देखते हैं डेमोक्रेसी डज मीन रूल बाय द पीपल. इफ द पीपल आर नॉट नोइंग व्हाट गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग, and what government is doing does mean government is doing through the elected representative. तो दैट मीन्स आपको ये जानना है. सो दैट इज अ क्रिटिकल मॉडल. इसको थोड़ा सा इफेक्टिव बनाने के लिए, थोड़ा वाइब्रेंट मॉडल बनाने के लिए इन चीजों को डाला गया गवर्नेंस के अंदर. नाउ एडवोकेसी मॉडल इज वाज स्टार्टेड सिंस 2004 onward, in which there is a better interaction between people and the governance in form of complaints, suggestions, etc. That means in this model now people can complain and people can suggest the government that what steps should be taken and must be taken for the better governance, because ultimately you are framing the rules and laws for those people. Okay, if you will be taking those people in confidence while framing any policy or any rule, so definitely that will be counted as a better governance. Now understand, NDA government, which comes in power in 2014, introduced integrated model. Integrated model does mean that the models which I discussed above, these three models, now this is an integrated model having the touch of all these three models, which is highly dynamic in nature. This model includes details of ministry along the formal in the format of the complaint response time. That means if you are complaining, जैसे आप देखते हैं हर स्टेट के अंदर एक सीएम विंडो या फिर जो पीएम विंडो है जिसमें आप शिकायत कर सकते हैं, एक रिस्पॉन्स टाइम के साथ आपको सारी चीजों की जो फैसिलिटीज आज दी जा रही. So that means that type of governance is somewhere better than the previous one, because it is very transparent and it is a duty of the government to maintain the balance between transparency and the secrecy of the data. Okay, we will come to that, but before that just take the understanding what I'm going to uh, I want you all understand about this these governance models. Okay, this model has some reservation to avoid non-serious complaints. And how these non-serious complaints can be avoided, because this model, this integrated model made the provision that if anyone is complaining without any substantial evidences, तो उसको प्रोसिक्यूट किया जा सकता है और कन्विक्ट भी किया जा सकता है. ओके, यहां मैंने लिखा है द मॉडल सेज दैट इफ कंप्लेंट्स आर फाउंड विदाउट सब्सटेंशियल एविडेंसेस देन द कंप्लेनेंट हैड टू फेस एक्शन इन अकॉर्डेंस टू द नेचर ऑफ द ऑफेंस. जिस तरीके का भी ऑफेंस का नेचर होगा उसके अकॉर्डिंगली उसको पिनलाइज किया जा सकता है. तो दैट मीन्स, देखिए मुझे इस चीज से फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि मेरा लेक्चर कितना लंबा हो रहा है, बस मुझे मेरा मोटो और ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि आपको चीजें समझ में आए. जरूरी नहीं है आप ये लिखी हुई चीजों को ही रटें. मैं जस्ट आपको एक आइडियोलॉजी दे रहा हूं कि आइडियोलॉजी में आपको किस तरीके का थॉट प्रोसेस होना चाहिए एंड हाउ टू थिंक एंड हाउ टू अरेंज द कंटेंट. Okay, so how I started with the three different models. I gave you the definition, what are the differences and what provisions are being provided through these models. Okay, meanwhile I'll be giving you the sum, a summary in between like this. Okay, so till this point I discussed three models and how this NDA government adopted a integrated model which is including all these three models. And the basic provision, the best provision in that it was avoiding non-serious complaints by making a provision that if any complainant is complaining without the strong evidences, then he or she, that means the complainant, can be prosecuted in accordance to the nature of offense. So this is all about till this point. Now see, such complainant may be prosecuted and convicted, the same thing I addressed, because of damaging public image of the government without having proper evidence. That means why government is taking this step? You see, ऐसे तो कोई भी आदमी कोई किसी भी तरीके का आरोप लगाएगा गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर, और रूलिंग गवर्नमेंट ऐसा नहीं चाहेगी कि उसकी जो पब्लिक इमेज है वो खराब हो। तो पब्लिक इमेज ना बिगड़े, इसलिए इन्होंने ये प्रोविजन बनाया कि आप बेबुनियादी तरीके से किसी पर आरोप ना लगाएं। अगर आपकी कंप्लेन जायज है तो आपके पास उन चीजों को लेके सबूत भी होने चाहिए। दिस थिंग, तो आई थिंक you got my point, that what extra was included in integrated model. Okay, and how these three models are different from each other, what was included in that, and what facilities were provided through these models to the people who are ruling the nation. Okay, so now these models have many positive aspects. What are the positive aspects? It is eco-friendly because of being paperless. The first thing, when you are computerizing the governance, so definitely you are moving towards eco-friendly. So eco-friendly does mean environment friendly. You are not uh, you know giving a big loss to the trees and the environment, which is very important to maintain the food chain and the gaseous cycles. Okay, now it is efficient because of being time bound. You see, uh, definitely this type of governance, when you are adopting a particular model in the governance, you are time bound. It doesn't mean that means uh, you are framing the policy in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or you are taking decisions in 3 year or 5 year. No, it is a time bound procedure, so that's why it is effective. Now it is cost effective also because of remarkable saving expenditures. When you are not when you are not spending money on those things which are expensive and time taking and the manual things, but now you are switching to the computerized systems, computerized facilities, computerized technologies, that means that will be saving your time also and money also. Then after, it is effective in term of goal achievement with time frame. That means if you are setting a goal, that is being achieved in a given time bound manner. Okay, see, it is to minimize corruption because of minimizing personal interaction between official and the people. When you are not interacting with the people manually, definitely the chances of corruption get down. You see, I'm giving you the best example, that is, you see, I'm from Haryana. Okay, and one department here, the accountant and general department Haryana, that is the department where when you will be entering, there will be all computerized systems, people will be sitting there, and you will be separated from the mirror. One screen will be in front of you and one screen will be in the office. You will be putting the inquiry, they will be opening it, and you will be watching that on the screen. That means there is no manual interaction. That interaction is needed, but somehow, if we understand that manual interaction is leading to corruption also, because the things can be manipulated on the manual aspects. But when you are taking the information in a computerized manner, so there is no need, and that is not leading to the corruption. I think you got my point. So that means corruption is getting minimized from these models. Okay, and what is the negative aspect is that these models are beyond reach of the rural India. ये प्रॉब्लम तो हमेशा रहती है। गवर्नमेंट कोई भी पॉलिसी प्रोग्राम लाती है, वो रूरल इंडिया की रीच में आता है कि नहीं आता है, दैट मैटर्स। तो हमने देखा कि बहुत सारे ऐसे हमारे डिप्राइव्ड सेक्शन सोसाइटी के और जो रूरल पीपल हैं, उनकी रीच में ये चीजें हैं ही नहीं। क्या गवर्नमेंट कर रही है, किस तरीके के प्रोग्राम्स, किस तरीके की पॉलिसीज ला रही है, किस तरीके से उनको एग्जीक्यूट किया जा रहा है, क्या उनके राइट्स हैं, क्या गवर्नमेंट चाहती है उनको देना, right? So that means they are not in the confidence to do that. So that is the best, the most negative aspect of these models. And that's why मैंने यहाँ मेंशन किया है, जितने भी स्किल डेवलपमेंट के कोर्सेज गवर्नमेंट चला रही है, तो उसके अंदर कंप्यूटर ट्रेनिंग को मैंडेटरी किया जा रहा है, और वो इसलिए किया जा रहा है ताकि हम अपनी पॉलिसीज को रूरल इंडिया में पहुंचा सकें और उनको समझा सकें और उसको इफेक्टिव तरीके से एग्जीक्यूट कर सकें। Okay, fine. Now come to the question that was asked in 2016. E-governance is considered to be precondition for good governance. E-governance is considered to be precondition. ये बात मैंने आप लास्ट के 2 लेक्चर्स में डिस्कस किया कि इंफॉर्मेशन बेस्ड गवर्नेंस इज द प्री कंडीशन फॉर द गुड गवर्नेंस. So that is we are needed to discuss here. However, criteria of good governance has been mostly evolved by international organizations, especially financial institutions like IMF and the World Bank. इन्होंने कहा कि ई गवर्नेंस प्री कंडीशन है, इसको डिस्कस कीजिए कैसे. दूसरा, जो गुड गवर्नेंस के क्राइटेरिया हैं वो समय समय पर चेंज हुए हैं, जिनको आईएमएफ और वर्ल्ड बैंक जैसे फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस ने उनको इवॉल्व किया है. तो डिस्कस ऑल दीज क्राइटेरिया. So now I am switching to the second point of the today's class roadmap. That is, these are 4 criteria of good governance जो मैंने यहाँ पे बात की. Relevancy, that means you are taking actions, you are taking decisions. Are these actions or are these decisions relevant or not? That matters. Then value. Value does mean your decisions are valuable or not, and how you will be deciding that is it valuable or not. We will be discussing about that one with a particular example. Then after, social equity. Social equity matlab social justice, whether it is a political equality to all, whether you are giving equal opportunities to all. That is, I'm giving you a just out coverage of that part. I'll be discussing it in very detail. And social change. Social change. Social change does mean, so let me not discuss this point now. Accordingly, come to the first point, how governance should have the relevancy. अब आप इस रेलेवेंसी को कैसे समझेंगे? देखिए, आप ध्यान रखिएगा, मैंने यहाँ पे एक पॉइंट लिखा है, जो गवर्नेंस है, गवर्नेंस लोगों को सर्व करती है, गवर्नमेंट लोगों को सर्व करती है थ्रू द गवर्नेंस, एंड गवर्नेंस इज सर्विंग द पीपल थ्रू द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. नाउ सी व्हाट आई हैव रिटन हियर. आई एम रीडिंग ऑल द लाइंस जस्ट बिकॉज यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड दीज ऑल लाइंस व्हिच आई एम गिविंग यू द नोट्स, सो दैट आप अपने भी नोट्स बना सके. ठीक है, जरूरी नहीं है ये छापना है आपको. See, generally government makes plans and programs for local infrastructure development. It is now being projected as a smart cities. See, कितनी अजीब बात लगती है, आपकी गवर्नमेंट एक लोकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को डेवलप कर रही है, एंड दिस लोकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट इज बीइंग कैरेक्टराइज्ड और इज बीइंग गिवन ए टाइटल विद द स्मार्ट सिटी प्रोजेक्ट्स. ओके, डू यू थिंक सो कि स्मार्ट सिटीज को डेवलप करना विदाउट डेवलपिंग द रूरल इंडिया इज पॉसिबल और इज इफेक्टिव? नो, नॉट एट ऑल. आप अर्बन सिटीज में, आप अर्बन एरियाज में डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं. आप सोचिए, आप इसको कॉमन सेंस से सोचिए, थॉट प्रोसेस डेवलप कीजिए, कनेक्टिविटी बनाइए. आप अर्बन एरियाज के अंदर डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं, लेकिन रूरल एरिया में अगर डेवलपमेंट नहीं होगा तो डेफिनेटली दोज पीपल विल बी माइग्रेटिंग टू दोज एरियाज विच आर गेटिंग डेवलप्ड, एंड डेफिनेटली दिस विल बी लीडिंग टू द स्लम एरियाज इन द अर्बन एरियाज, urban cities. Okay, so that means you see in the financial and the financial capital of India, you see in Mumbai, Dharavi एक हमारा सबसे बड़ा स्लम है. आप दिल्ली के अंदर बहुत सारे एरियाज देखिए, जैसे हैदरपुर है, और सो मेनी एरियाज आर देयर. तो आप देखेंगे, अगर डेवलपमेंट बैलेंस तरीके से नहीं चलेगा, दैट मीन्स दैट माइग्रेशन वुड हैपन देयर. एंड द सेम थिंग आई हैव मेंशन्ड ओवर हियर. लेट मी रीड दैट for your convenience. It is now being projected as a smart cities, but smart cities could not be realized in India unless smart villages are developed, or elsewhere would be further migration of the rural people towards urban India. Such migrations led to the development of the slums in most of the cities, even in the capital and economic capital of India, that is Mumbai and Delhi. Okay, that means why I am discussing this point in the relevance part. That means you are taking a decision that we are to develop infrastructure in the urban area, but that is not relevant. That cannot be realized without the development in the rural area, and you will be watching the consequences of that. Okay, fine. Now see, Therefore, good governance says that rural infrastructure must be developed to generate rural employment. अगर आप रूरल एरिया के अंदर डेवलपमेंट करते हैं तो वहां आप एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्रिएट करते हैं. एग्रो प्रोसेसिंग की यूनिट्स लगाइए आप. माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग टू प्रमोट स्किल्ड वर्कर्स इन farm sector. This will check migration. Check does mean regulate migration and minimize urban rural divide in India. That is very much required today. Okay, so good governance का मतलब ये है कि आपको डिसीजंस ऐसे लेने हैं जो आपके आपकी रेलेवेंसी को दिखाएं. आपके जो डिसीजंस हैं वो रेलेवेंट होने चाहिए. आप एक एरिया को डेवलप कर रहे हैं लेकिन उसी की वजह से आप एक प्रॉब्लम और क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. सो दैट इज नॉट अ गुड गवर्नेंस. So I hope you got the point with the relevance. Now let me switch to the another point. So now similarly value based, हमने बात की थी गुड गवर्नेंस के अंदर जो गवर्नेंस है वो वैल्यू बेस्ड होनी चाहिए. अगर आप उसको गुड गवर्नेंस बोल रहे हैं, कैसे? गवर्नेंस इज अनदर गुड गवर्नेंस. वैल्यू बेस्ड गवर्नेंस इज अनदर गुड गवर्नेंस. Value based means government must have positive discrimination. That means discrimination should be there, but that should be positive. That means if you are giving policies to those जिनको चाहिए ही नहीं, तो ये वैल्यू बेस्ड कहाँ हुआ? अगर आप कोई ऐसी फैसिलिटी दे रहे हैं जो सारे लोगों को ना देके आप उस सोसाइटी के उस स्ट्रेटा को दीजिए जिसको उसकी जरूरत है. जैसे कि आप देखते हैं कि जो रिजर्वेशन के राइट्स हैं that are very much needed. So that means positive discrimination should be there. Positive discrimination should be there. So that is value based means government must have positive discrimination to transfer subsidy support to deprived section of the society. Now recently gas subsidy was transferred to all without any discrimination, but that is not valued. जिसको चाहिए ही नहीं आप उसको भी दे रहे हैं. It was pointed out by financing agencies that it must not be valueless. And on the behalf of this decision, financial institution agencies said that it must not be valueless because you are not discriminating positively. Okay, so it should be value based means targeting the weaker section. Okay, fine. Now see, the government immediately acted and appealed the people to give up the subsidy in the favor of weaker section. And what was it? It was a moral decision taken by the government. That means that decision by the government is value based. They are understanding the need of the people, they are understanding the requirement of that weaker section, and they are providing the subsidy by taking from those जिसको चाहिए ही नहीं. So I think this is clear to all of you. The appeal was based on morality as it was not legally binding to giver. Now see, but people came forward, gave up subsidy, which is burning example of value based governance based on positive discrimination. हमेशा याद रखिए, अगर आप किसी भी सब्जेक्ट के कॉन्सेप्चुअल पार्ट को समझना चाहते हैं तो आपको बहुत ही प्रैक्टिकल एग्जांपल्स को लेके उसको समझेंगे आप. अगर आप ऐसा नहीं कर रहे हैं तो आपकी कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी कभी नहीं आएगी. और ऐसे ऐसे बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स आप खुद भी बिल्डअप कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि आप बहुत सारे केसेस आप एथिक्स में केस स्टडीज के दौरान देखते हैं. ओके, नाउ कम टू द थर्ड क्राइटेरिया, दैट इज सोशल इक्विटी. सोशल इक्विटी डज मीन द सोशल जस्टिस. सी, social justice good governance highlights social equity, which means record production alone does not matter. Wow, this is a very important point. You see, I have taken this as an example. When you are considering mere production of the goods, that is not enough, but that should be characterized, that should be supported with a particular distribution system. You see, आपने इतना सारा प्रोड्यूस किया, आप कह रहे हैं हमारी जीडीपी अच्छी है, लेकिन जीडीपी अच्छा होने से ही सोशल इक्विटी थोड़े आएगी. ये किसने कहा कि जीडीपी जो है वो ज्यादा होने से हम लोगों का जो लेवल है लाइफस्टाइल का, जो लिविंग लाइफस्टाइल है, वो हमारा इंप्रूव होगा? नो. अगर आप प्रोडक्शन के साथ एक बेटर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम को डेवलप नहीं करेंगे तो वो जो प्रोड्यूस्ड गुड है वो लोगों तक पहुंचेगा कैसे? आप ये बताइए. I think you are getting my point. You see, social equity, record production alone does not matter. It has to be supplemented by a particular distribution system to transfer the benefit to every section of the society. ये देखा गया, मान लीजिए आप 25 करोड़ टन प्रोडक्शन कर रहे हैं, that is very much sufficient to feed the 140 crore population of India today. Okay, but nearly 40% population is struggling for even a single meal. What it is, that means you are lagging behind in context of distribution system. You are producing good, but that production is not reaching to that part of the society for which it is required. Nearly 40% population struggling for even a single meal a day because of the lack of distribution system. I think you are getting idea about social equity, that is a social justice, and is not in the case of production also always. आप ये कोई भी एग्जाम्पल ले सकते हैं, कोई भी एग्जाम्पल ले सकते हैं जिसके थ्रू आप इसको समझ सकते हैं. डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डिपेंड्स ऑन स्टोरेज सिस्टम. अब अपने आप ये कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ती चली जाती है. मैंने बहुत सारे लोगों से बात की, मैं बहुत सारे बच्चों को देखता हूँ, और हम मुझे ये जानने को मिलता है कि वो जब भी कोई आंसर देते हैं तो वो क्रैम्ड आंसर देते हैं. क्रैम्ड आंसर तब दिया जाता है जब आपको कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी नहीं होती, और जब आपको कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी होती है तो ऐसे जो शब्द हैं उसे ऐसे फेंकते हैं आप. ओके, और धीरे धीरे वो रेलेवेंसी भी आने लगती है. द सेम थिंग इज देयर व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम दैट इज नॉट डेवलप्ड. आपने सोचा है डेवलप करने के लिए क्या चाहिए? अब डेवलप करने के लिए स्टोरेज सिस्टम चाहिए. अब स्टोरेज सिस्टम अगर होगा, वो कैसे अफेक्ट हो रहा है, क्यों नहीं बना पा रहे हैं, आप वो सोचिए. अब स्टोरेज सिस्टम को सप्लीमेंट किससे किया जाएगा? रोड एंड कनेक्टिविटी के साथ. अगर हमारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप नहीं होगा, आपके पास भले स्टोरेज सिस्टम है लेकिन आप उसको ट्रांसपोर्ट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, तो डेफिनेटली दैट विल बी अफेक्टेड अगेन. दैट इज अ कनेक्टिविटी विच इज रिक्वायर्ड. So which India is not able to achieve, especially because of the lack of fund and the challenges in the land acquisition. Okay. Similarly, India has tremendous potential of water based on India is fifth country in the world in terms of river. You see, India has a so high potential in terms of the river water. Okay, these four countries are well connected through rivers, water base. Unlike India, majority of rivers are facing landslide and disaster because of the lack of long term planning. अब आपके पास आप 5वें रैंक पर हैं, लेकिन आपके पास एक लॉन्ग टर्म प्लानिंग नहीं है रिसोर्सेज को संभालने के लिए, then it is again a problem. Okay, so these are some examples which you can use to understand the basic concept and the criteria of the good governance, that is relevance, value, social equity, and then after we'll be talking about the social change as a fourth criteria. See, generally government tries to maintain social inertia. Social inertia does mean, inertia is a very scientific term. You can understand that the society which is in a particular state, वो उसको चेंज करना ही नहीं चाहेंगे. अगर वो उसको छेड़ते हैं, उसको चेंज करना चाहेंगे, तो उनको एक डर रहता है कि ये लोग अपना जो वोट बैंक है वो खो देंगे. So generally government tries to maintain social inertia but of the fear of losing votes, but good governance put criteria to take initiatives for the social change. Good governance would like to have it, but a government, the people in context of votes would not be liking it to lose the votes. So now, for example, demonetization in India to integrate black money to main economy, followed by one nation, one tax, one nation, one budget. Now government is heading towards one nation, one poll. Okay, one nation, one poll. Heading towards one nation, one poll. All these are aggressive decisions reflecting social change over social inertia. So these are social change, and if you think इस चेंज से आपकी कंट्री की जो इंटरनेशनल इमेज है, जो पब्लिक इमेज है, वो इम्प्रूव होगी या हमारे नेशनल इंटरेस्ट में है, तो डेफिनेटली ये चेंज आना चाहिए. लेकिन अगर आप वोट बैंक के खोने के डर से वो सोशल चेंजेस नहीं ला रहे हैं, तो डेफिनेटली दैट इज नॉट अ गुड गवर्नेंस. देखिए ये काफी प्रॉब्लमेटिक होता है कई बार हम लोगों के लिए समझना और समझाना. यू सी my channel, this is a very scientific channel because I started with the physics, and now my the content is going towards UPSC, that is totally general studies. And this understanding or this building of understanding these general science concepts, general studies concepts, is very much difficult for a science student, because when you are switching from a scientific subject to the theory subjects, somewhere the complications arise, and it is up to you what strategy you are following to do that. Always remember, strategy does matter. You are studying about 13 to 14 hours in a day, but no output is coming, that means your strategy is wrong. That is a symptom कि आप गलत रास्ते पे हैं. आप अपनी स्ट्रेटेजी को चेंज कीजिए. एंड आप देखेंगे आपको बहुत सारी वीडियोस यूट्यूब चैनल पर गवर्नेंस को लेके मिलती हैं, बट आई एम गिविंग यू द वेरी कट एंड ड्राइड हैंड रिटन नोट्स. आप ये खुद के भी बना सकते हैं, और मैं हर लाइन को जो यहाँ लिखी गई है उसको समझा रहा हूँ. आप कोई भी कंसिडरेबल चेंज इसके अंदर करना चाहते हैं, इंप्रूव करना चाहते हैं, वो आपकी मर्जी है, वो आपकी चॉइसेस है. बट आई एम गिविंग यू द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ दिस सब्जेक्ट. Okay, so without wasting time, this was a small message which I always used to give in every lecture. So that was it. Now see, finally India, especially since economic reform, started getting World Bank finance with tough conditionality. World Bank is giving the loan, but World Bank is putting some conditionalities. What these conditionalities are, you see, World Bank extend long term loan on lower rate of interest, okay, for infrastructure development along with the zero based budgeting, which it reflects smart governance. आप देख पा रहे हैं डेवलपमेंट के लिए वर्ल्ड बैंक पैसा दे रहा है, वो भी लोअर इंटरेस्ट रेट पे. और एंड दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग. डज मीन, यू सी, इसी को ये क्या बोल रहा है, स्मार्ट गवर्नेंस बोल रहा है. स्मार्ट गवर्नेंस में एक एक वर्ड का यहाँ पे मीनिंग बताया गया है. व्हाट इट इज. एस इज स्टैंड्स फॉर सिंपल गवर्नेंस. आप इसको सिंपल गवर्नेंस की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं. यू सी, दिस इज सिंपल गवर्नेंस, विच मीन्स सिंप्लीफिकेशन ऑफ द प्रोसीजर्स. आप कोई भी डिसीजन ले रहे हैं, आप कोई पॉलिसी बना रहे हैं, तो काफी सिंप्लीफाइड होनी चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप डिसीजन लें और लोगों को समझ में ही ना आए. क्या कह रहा है, स्पेशली इन एवरी सेक्टर ऑफ इकोनॉमी टू प्रमोट foreign and domestic investment to reduce dependency over different types of role. Okay, I think you understand what S does mean. S is simplified procedures. Simplified procedures adopted in the governance. Then M stands for the morality. It doesn't mean you are governing the people and you are just taking the decisions on the behalf of the legalities. Sometimes आपको moral तरीके से भी decision लेने पड़ते हैं in the government, which means corruption free governance, that is to ensure national and international image of the government. So when you are taking decisions morally, it is affecting or it is improving your public image and international image. Now see, A stands for this point is very important, please focus on it. A stands for accountability in the government, which means the government must be answerable to the people regarding their acts coming into action along with the projecting results. A does mean accountable, लेकिन यहाँ पे मैंने एक जो लास्ट जो आर वाला पॉइंट है इसमें मैं बात करना चाह रहा था. आर क्या कहता है, स्टैंड्स फॉर द रिस्पॉन्सिव गवर्नमेंट बेस्ड ऑन राइट टू इन्फॉर्मेशन. यहाँ पे दो वर्ड आएंगे आपके सामने, एक है राइट टू बी इन्फॉर्म्ड और एक आएगा राइट टू इन्फॉर्मेशन. जब आप गवर्नमेंट अकाउंटेबल है, जब आप इसकी बात करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली आप ये बात करेंगे कि क्या वो आपको इंफॉर्मेशन दे रही है. और जब आप रिस्पॉन्सिव गवर्नमेंट की बात करेंगे तो आप ये जानेंगे कि जो इंफॉर्मेशन आपने पूछी है क्या वो जवाब दे रही है. तो दैट्स डिफरेंस इन अ वेरी लेमन लैंग्वेज. राइट टू बी इन्फॉर्म्ड, दैट मीन्स हमारे को राइट है जानने का, ये भी राइट टू इन्फॉर्मेशन में भी है. बट राइट टू बी इन्फॉर्म, दैट मीन्स government is taking the decision and let you know what they are doing. But when you are not satisfied and you are asking that government that what you are doing for us, let us know. That is the right to information. You see, T stands for transparency. At the same time, World Bank put criteria to maintain secrecy also. It doesn't mean that you are sharing the data, but you are not maintaining the secrecy. Transparency is a one thing, secrecy is a different thing. So you have to balance that transparency as well as secrecy. Then after, smart governance is realized by computerization. That means अब आपने smart governance के बारे में पढ़ लिया. Smart governance is the concept of the World Bank. How World Bank is defining smart governance. How World Bank is demanding some aspects of the good governance. What should be happen in good governance. But how can it be achieved? It can be achieved with the computerization, which is unbeatable in maintaining transparency and the secrecy in the national interest. That means आप इसको तोड़ ही नहीं सकते. अगर आप computerization गवर्नेंस के अंदर इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली दैट विल बी वेरी इफेक्टिव, वेरी इफेक्टिव. ओके, और जो आपके गोल्स हैं आप उनको एक टाइम बाउंड मैनर में अचीव भी कर पाएंगे. ऑल टुगेदर, वर्ल्ड बैंक क्राइटेरिया ऑफ द स्मार्ट गवर्नेंस इज ऑपरेटेड थ्रू जीरो बैंड budgeting developed by American economist Peter Pire. This budget is the result oriented, while commonly used budget is the performance budget, which is effort oriented budget. You see, let me erase that. I'll be underlining all those important points. This budget is result oriented. When you are computerizing the system, these budgets are result oriented, while जो हम commonly adopt करते हैं वो effort देखते हैं कि हमने कितना effort लगाया हमारे budget को एक effective budget बनाने में. Then after, of all types of governance, judicial governance. हम बात कर रहे थे judicial governance की, अलग अलग type की governance की. तो अब हम I think we discussed about the fourth point in the roadmap. That is the fourth point. Judicial governance holds top position because it is judiciary responsible for maintaining the supremacy of the constitution. I discussed very clearly in the first lecture how judiciary is responsible for maintaining the supremacy of the constitution, which is the supreme land of the law. Okay. Government takes oath of secrecy also, which is of course respected by World Bank, provided that government is able to set balance between transparency and secrecy. Again and again it is repeating the point. I again repeat, I am moving towards the fourth point of the roadmap, how judiciary is responsible for maintaining the supremacy of the constitution. That was particularly discussed in the first lecture, but now judicial governance, how judicial governance is being operated. So we'll be discussing about that. You see that government is able to set balance between transparency and secrecy. When you are maintaining the integrity of the supremacy of the constitution, so that means a good governance is being achieved, and this good governance is leading to the better balance between transparency and the secrecy. Now come to this point. British Prime Minister John Major formulated Citizen Charter in 1992, which is global example of transparency in the government. It has been compiled with different developed and developing countries all across the globe, including India, in the form of government. That's a factual data. You can understand it that for transparency it was made, and the point which I discussed, that right to information and right to be informed. Right to be informed, it is different from right to information. How? See, if right to be informed is maximized, very important, very conceptual it is. अगर राइट टू बी इन्फॉर्म्ड को मैक्सिमाइज कर दिया जाए तो आपको जरूरत पड़ेगी गवर्नमेंट से पूछने की कि आपने ऐसा क्यों किया. नो. So right to be informed is different from right to information. If you are maximizing right to be informed, then right to information got minimized. Right to information gets minimized, which is the basic objective of the citizen. Very important line. I am underlining this, so do remember this. After that, accordingly, India started evolving concept of minimum government and maximum governance. How it can be achieved? By the computerization. Accordingly, India started evolving concept of minimum government and maximum governance. Citizen Charter led to minimum government and maximum governance in India in due course of time, especially because of judicial interpretation in 1994. What happened in 1994? Let me discuss about that. We'll come to that point. You know that in 1993, a public interest litigation was filed in Supreme Court, and that public interest litigation was filed with the title and by challenging that IPC 309. क्या कहती है 309? अगर कोई इंसान सुसाइड कर रहा है और अगर वो पकड़ा जाता है, मतलब वो सुसाइड नहीं कर पाया, बच गया और ये पता लग गया कि ये सुसाइड कर रहा था, तो हम उसको पिनलाइज करेंगे, प्रोजिक्यूट करेंगे और उसको कन्विक्ट करेंगे, बिकॉज अपने आप को नुकसान पहुंचाना इज ऑल्सो ए क्राइम, दैट इज अंडर आईपीसी 309। अब देखिए, अब इस आईपीसी 309 के तहत जो भी कहा गया है, क्या आपको ये मीनिंगलेस नहीं लग रहा है? एक इंसान अगर सुसाइड कर रहा है तो दैट मीन्स ही और शी इज इन मेंटल प्रेशर, और आप उसको पिनलाइज करके, प्रोजिक्यूट करके आप और मेंटल प्रेशर में डाल रहे हैं। कहां जस्टिफाइड है भाई ये? तो ये जस्टिफाइड नहीं है। तो दैट public interest litigation was filed. And what was the landmark judgment by the Supreme Court? Let me read that. The PIL was based on argument that a person trying to commit suicide is already under mental trauma and it is duty of the welfare state to counsel that person. उसको penalize नहीं करना है, उसको counsel कीजिए the person and rehabilitate to start fresh life instead of prosecution and conviction. That was the demand of the PIL. So Supreme Court delivered landmark judgment again in reference to Article 21, which emphasized that right to graceful life and it is not to forceful life. So right to graceful life emerged as a backbone of Indian Constitution by the Supreme Court. How? क्योंकि इससे बहुत सारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स इमर्ज हुए। यहां देखिए मैंने क्या लिखा है, by which number of fundamental rights could be derived in due course, which included right to information supported by right to be informed, which is being exercised by e-governance. In addition, right to work, health, education, food security, privacy, and even right to die gracefully are now outcomes of fundamental rights. What it is? Don't you think that it is a judicial governance? When you are giving a landmark judgment and many of the fundamental rights could be derived from that, that is a backbone of the fundamental rights, that is a backbone of Indian Constitution. Okay, so similarly, concept of minimum government and maximum governance started emerging in India since 91st Amendment 2003. We'll be discussing about that, but till then, you just understand what was the 1993 case PIL and what was the Supreme Court judgment about right to life. That was right to graceful life does not mean the forceful life. So it should not be a forceful life. Now see, in fact, government of commanding majority. Now this is a different point is getting started over here. We will be talking about the judicial governance. You see, government of commanding majority has been maintaining proper size of council of the ministers, setting example of minimum government and maximum governance. You see, our structure of the government is the council of ministers supporting the prime minister. तो वो मिनिमम गवर्नमेंट और मैक्सिमम गवर्नेंस का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है उसको वो फॉलो कर रहे हैं। नाउ कोहेलिशन गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड इन इंडिया इन 1977, उसके बाद 1989, 1996, 98 and 99 led by AB Vajpayee, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who had coalition partner. His government formed along with integrating 24 political parties. देखिए, भले मैं आपको इसको रीड आउट कर रहा हूं, आप इसके अंदर सिर्फ एक चीज को नोट कीजिए, इसके अंदर जो लिखा गया है क्या वो रेलेवेंट है कि नहीं। यू विल फाइंड द सब्जेक्ट वेरी इजी, वेरी इजी। इट इज सो स्प्रेडेड। आपको इसको कैसे निचोड़ना है, कैसे पकड़ना है, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट। यू थिंक व्हेन यू आर डूइंग ए सब्जेक्ट, इतना सारा कंटेंट हमारे पास अवेलेबल रहता है, बट कौन सा हमें जो कंटेंट है, जो रेलेवेंट कंटेंट है, उसको हमें फॉलो करना है और किस हद तक हमें उसको रेलेवेंसी को मेंटेन रखना है। नाउ अंडरस्टैंड, कोहेलिशन गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड इन इंडिया एंड विच इज स्टिल रिकॉर्ड इन द वर्ल्ड। जब AB वाजपेयी ने 1999 में 24 पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के साथ कोएलिशन किया एंड इवन देन गवर्नमेंट कंप्लीटेड दैट टर्म इन 2004। You see, what is the question here? The coalition government led by Vajpayee started realizing need of downsizing the government accordingly. And 91st amendment was passed, by which the size of council of ministers must not exceed 15% of the lower house, and it was first ever initiative followed by the FRBM Act. We will be discussing about this in detail. It was first ever initiative followed by Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act by the same government. So two important acts were passed. That was the 91st Amendment Act, in which the size of the Council of Ministers was reduced, and it should not be exceeded the 15% of the Lok Sabha. Now, the act was to ensure financial discipline of the curtailing by curtailing the size of the government and by avoiding overlapping ministry, secretariat, and even civil services. Again, you see, right to information was the next step introduced by the government led by Manmohan Singh. It was to ensure not only right to information, it was to ensure not only the right to information, but right to be informed, also to ensure utmost transparency and avoid overlapping. So this is all about right to information. I think the lecture is getting elongated now. So I don't think so, but let me complete this. So I'll be, please let me introduce this. I think we should do it in the next lecture because it would be very lengthy to explain. And till this point, you just complete this lecture. I'll be discussing the next points in the next lecture. So thank you so much for cooperation, and sorry for this lecture to be 46 minutes, maybe 47 minutes. Okay, so please manage that. You just put the speed on 1.5. You could complete it in a very short time. So till then, revise it, and thank you so much for supporting. I'll be there in the next video.